the evening will be a similar mood as yesterday, like Shringa's appearance day. Will there be as many people at the temple tonight, or more people, or what to anticipate? More. It's Mother's Day today. Sunday school as well. Okay. So the plan is still on schedule. We have 6 verses left to complete chapter 9. So 3 and then 3 makes 6. So we'll be discussing 3 verses, and then Monday evening the final 3 verses. Chapter 10 is a nice chapter also. We'll take a little peek at chapter 10. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Prachadine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatadine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaurabhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So there he is, Bhakta Prahlada, giving pure devotion. So the 3 verses that we'll discuss, the first one is his final prayer, and then the final 5 verses are Lord Nrsingadev speaking to Prahlada. So verse 50, the final of the verses, he is going to speak about the Paramahansa stage of life. Now, what's the Paramahansa stage of life? One of the meanings, the principal meaning, is one of the stages of sannyas. Now, there's another, that's your Paramahansa, is the topmost position, the supreme swan, the swan-like devotee that is totally immersed in the personality of Godhead. But the classical Paramahansa stage is one of 4 stages of the sannyas ashram. So it's Kutichak Bahodak, Parivajakacharya, Paramahansa. Go down. The Paramahansa stage is, we mentioned it, didn't we? In relation to Madhavendra Puri. Tomorrow is Madhavendra Puri's appearance day, so he was a Paramahansa Vaishnav. The Paramahansa is one who, for his maintenance, he simply depends upon Krishna. That is to say, in the prior stages, one may perform madhukari, like the bee, going from flower to flower, gathering honey, madhukari. So the madhukari stage of maintaining oneself is the sannyasi may go from home to home and simply requesting some alms, not to be fed, but just some alms, and then he accepts and is for a short part of the day, and then the rest of the day is dedicated to his activities of sannyas. And the Paramahansa stage, he doesn't do that. if people come and offer him something without his asking for something, then he'll accept, and otherwise he'll fast. So people in the West would die. They, people wouldn't be maintained. But in a cultured society or in traditional Vedic society, when someone sees a Paramahansa or when someone sees a sannyasi, they immediately want to offer something just out of culture or for respect for that renounced position. So he's going to speak a verse, his final verse, final prayer, about the Paramahansa stage. Here's the translation. Therefore, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, the best of all persons to whom prayers are offered, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, because without rendering 6 kinds of devotional service unto you, no, it's a detail, offering of prayers, dedicating all the results of activities, worshiping you, working on your behalf, always remembering your lotus feet and hearing about your glories, who can achieve that which is meant for the Paramahansas? So stated conversely, all of these 6 are requirements or behaviors or conduct of a Paramahansa. And who can achieve, the converse is, who can achieve the Paramahansa stage without these 6? So they're all required. Now, you have Srimad Bhagavatam in your home? Of course. Who doesn't have Srimad Bhagavatam in their home? If they don't, they'll get one soon. So I want to read the purport, but the same message is found in Kunti's prayers, Tata Parahangsanam, Paramahangsanam. You are meant to be understood by the Paramahansas. So this is Kunti. She's not Paramahansa, but she's how can I, a woman, understand you? You're meant to be understood by the Paramahansas. And I don't match that description. So that's her humility. But on the other hand, though she's not in the sannyas ashram, that's for sure, but she's Paramahansa, and she understands Krishna. She understands Krishna through the medium of service. That's how one can understand anything, or transcendental anything. So let's go to verse number 50. The Vedas enjoin, Nayamatma pravachinena labhyana medyana bahuna shutena. One cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead simply by studying the Vedas and offering prayers. Only by the grace of the Supreme Lord can one understand him. The process of understanding the Lord, therefore, is bhakti. Without bhakti, simply following the Vedic injunctions to understand the absolute truth will not be helpful at all. The process of bhakti is understood by the Paramahansa, who has accepted the essence of everything. The results of bhakti are reserved for such a Paramahansa, and this stage cannot be obtained by any Vedic process other than devotional service. He's saying it forwards, backwards, backwards, forwards, forwards, backwards, and exclamation point. He's Bhakta Prahlad representative, because that's Bhakta Prahlad's message too. The result of bhakti The results of bhakti are reserved for such a Paramahamsa, and this stage cannot be obtained by any Vedic process other than devotional service. Other processes, such as jnana and yoga, can be successful only when mixed with bhakti. When we speak of jnana yoga, karma yoga, and dhyana yoga, the word yoga indicates bhakti. Bhakti yoga or Buddhi yoga, executed with intelligence and full knowledge, is the only successful method for going back home, back to Godhead. If one wants to be liberated from the pangs of material existence, guess what? Bhakti. Final sentence. He should take to devotional service for quick attainment of this goal. Sometimes Prabhupada would say, repetition is necessary for clear understanding. And he didn't mind. He was very patient and very perseverant. And he would repeat, and like this. There's one short paragraph. Backwards, forwards, forwards, backwards, backwards, forwards, forwards, backwards. And say it again. Now, advancing a little bit, I've mentioned this several times. Here's one more time. The final 5 chapters of this canto are addressing what if you're not at this platform of Prahlada Maharaj, which is most of us. What to do, and is it possible to get there, how to get there. So Narada Muni speaking to Yudhisthira outlines, bhakti is, he says it this way, bhakti is of 3 kinds, unmixed, mixed with karma, and mixed with jnana. Prahlad is in the unmixed category. So the unmixed category may not be my attainment. What about me? Or how should I execute bhakti? Because bhakti is, so many nice things are said about it. And pure bhakti is unmixed. But one can, if one has some affinity for, or stronger attachment for, karma or jnana, that is, trying to understand the absolute truth through work, or trying to understand the absolute truth by speculative knowledge, and that's one's inclination or habit or conditioning, then there are prescribed activities, and then then comes the varna description, and then comes the ashram description, depending upon one's nature, one's propensities. And one more time, that because there's a topic that was discussed more than once during this visit, Nishkam Karma Yoga. It's one, through those other methods, one can come to the platform of Nishkam. Through the platform of Bhakti, one can come to the platform of Nishkam, that is, having no desire, having no other desire. There's desire, but the desire to serve Krishna. And when that all other desire, it's very simple. When other desire is removed, there's something left, because we're souls, and souls, part of the Supreme, have qualities like the Supreme, who has desire, unlimited desire, icha, or satya sankalpa shakti. And so he desires, and voila, the desire becomes fact. And he doesn't have to do anything. His potencies do everything. And we're not the Supreme. So we do things following behind a desire to achieve something. So achieve something in the realm of karma, achieve something in the realm of jnana, and even a very high form or expression of jnana is Brahman realization. There's an explanation. I haven't heard it said many, many times, but by the understanding I've heard is that Shankaracharya would not accept anyone as a student unless they were a sannyasi. So grahastas, sorry, Charlie, there's no place for you. And so you can strive to become a sannyasi, and then there's restrictions for who can become a sannyasi, and there's all of those rules and restrictions and regulations. So it's not so liberal. But the principle of detachment is important. Vairagya is important, and jnana yields vairagya, or the absence of jnana results in attachment. And when you're attached, then you can't progress because you're attached to something material. And attached to something material, how are you going to progress? So then therefore, the sequence goes first karma yoga. We'll just say it slowly and one more time. Karma yoga means two things: performance of prescribed duty, because a real sense of karma is prescribed duty. So karma yoga is performance of prescribed duty, and the results of that prescribed duty go to Vishnu. But there's a mix. I have a desire, and therefore there's a prescribed duty corresponding to my desire. Because of desire, I get a body. Because of having a body, I have propensities. Because of those propensities, I have some duty. And there's duties in Varna, and there's duties in ashram. And according to the Varna-ashram system, I should know what my Varna is, I should know what my ashram is, and I should therefore know what my duty is. And performance of duty without attachment to the results. But then there's, with every activity, dharmic or otherwise, adharmic, there's some outcome. There's something produced. So what to do with that something that's produced if you want to be a yogi? You offer the results to the Supreme. Supposing you don't have a personal conception of the Supreme, which is a lot of people. So supposing you don't have a personal conception, then you make the offering unto Brahman. And therefore there's brahmanas that perform yagyas, and they make offerings into the fire. To them, the fire represents Brahman. And for me, as the one who's going to the Brahmana asking for this yagya, that yagya, once I identify my intention or sankalpa, he picks this yagya, that yagya, this mantra, that mantra, corresponding with that desire. And this deva and that devi, and then the yagya is performed, and I get good results. And the good results are offered to Brahman. And the goal is elevation of consciousness, and as consciousness becomes more elevated, and continue living a life of regulation according to the karma kanda section of the Vedas, where offering my activities to the Supreme, comes the next stage. It's just in sequence. And after karma kanda comes jnana kanda. Then let me singularly focus on transcendence, or the non-material. By definition, at least the conception is, the non-material is Brahman, meaning implied as impersonal. And then I try to meditate on the impersonal. And it's bona fide. It's not like There are certainly concoctions, but done properly, it's a standard. It's a type of transcendental approach. Meditate on Brahman. Now, how do you fix your mind on the formless, qualityless, attributeless? Monavrata and other practices that they were mentioned, that these 10, remember? 10 applications or practices that can help one attain liberation. Liberation in this sense is a definition by negation. Definition by negation means no longer involved in the material affinity. And if I don't have if it's just negation, then what's on the other side of no longer material affinity? Now that's a very high stage, no longer material affinity. But if you're if you're a Buddhist, it's nothingness. How do you meditate on nothingness? The sound of one hand clapping and other nice things. Or an impersonalist, meditate on the light. And therefore, things like Brahma Gayatri, many of you are familiar, whether second initiated or not, we also have Brahma Gayatri. And Brahma Gayatri is, it's meant for those who are duly initiated brahmanas, but many people chant Brahma Gayatri without being duly initiated. They sing it like a song. And the understanding is they're worshiping, well, there's different understandings. They're worshiping Brahman. Now, some refer to the Gayatri mantra as worshiping the sun or the sun god, because they're not at the stage of being Brahmavadis, they're at the stage of demigod worshippers. So it's a nice approach to worship the sun god. And there's terminologies within the mantra that they understand that's what this mantra is doing, is worshiping the sun god. Then a little above, those are worshiping the impersonal Brahman. But if there's an understanding that the Vaishnavas have, this is referring to the personality of God, who is the source of both the sun and the whole of creation. And that's in the first half of the mantra. Or the Brahmajyoti, which is in the second half of the mantra. There's the source. And that source is Bhagavan. So it's Bhagavan worship through mantra. Same activity, just different consciousness behind the activity. So similarly, back to the topic of this verse in the purport, the Paramahamsa is one who understands the Supreme as a person, and my existence is dependent upon the independent Supreme Person. And therefore, my life is just focused, singularly focused on service. This is bhakti principle. Singularly focused, not to achieve karma or gyan. This is the bhakti definition. We discussed it the other day. Two different standard definitions of bhakti. So Rupa Goswami's is this one. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karma janavritam. Abhilash is another word for indicating desire. I don't have a desire for karma or gyan. When one has no longer desire for karma again, there's nothingness, right? That's if you're a Buddhist. Or it's impersonal. That's if you're a Mayavadi or a Brahmavadi. And then when there's a desire, what's that one desire that's in the transcendental beyond the material desire? Anukulyena Krishnadoshilanam, bhaktir uttama. the desire to be engaged in pleasing Krishna, following the ways of the perfected souls. That's bhakti. That's Shuddha bhakti. We had this discussion. Somebody was mentioning bhakti as itself being mixed, but bhakti is unmixed. Bhakti is pure, and then there's purity can be mixed. So that's what this purport and verse are speaking about. The Paramahansa stage is unmixed. It's just one thing. Not striving, but it's having attained. One thing. What's the one thing? Devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead without any consideration of anything else. And, and factually, not just by following rules, but by factually being in that consciousness. That's the Paramahansa. So back to the verse, Prahlada is indicating that the Paramahansa stage requires these 6 items. And how can one achieve, how can we become properly situated in that Paramahansa stage without these basic items, fundamental items? So we do something in the perfect stage. We don't just twinkle like, a spark in the jyoti of the light of the Supreme. We don't just twinkle like a star in the sky, but we do activities, and these 6 are indicating the activities of one in the perfectional stage of life. Remember from the very first verse, it's in the first verse of his teachings to his students. That's chapter 6. But he makes a statement to his students that this process of devotional service is so wonderful, even a slight, like alpa, tiny amount of devotional service is sufficient. It's the potency, the Shakti is there to bring one to the stage of perfection of life. And we don't just do a drop or an angsa and then that's it. We cultivate for our whole life. But there's potency in each of the moments of devotional service for that same potency, perfection of life. And now this verse is the conclusion. What's that perfection? The Paramahansa stage. In the Paramahansa stage, they'll do these 6 things. And then this Kunti's prayer, indicating something quite similar. How am I, a woman, engaged in worldly affairs? How am I to know you who are only known, only knowable, only understood by those in the Paramahansa stage? So it's not ashram specific, is the point. Pure devotion is not ashram specific. Pure devotion is the quality of unmixed devotion. And unmixed devotion can be attained through any varna or any ashram. Either in the gradual cultivation platform, which we're striving to do, to take bhakti, mix bhakti with our lives and become mixed devotees, but with bhakti at the foundation. Let's say it the other way. Supposing one, this is an important teaching in the Bhagavatam. It's stated in Prahlada's teachings as well. Supposing one has achieved perfection in the activities of a brahmana, this, that, and the other thing, but they're not a Vaishnava, they're not a devotee of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. Then this phrase, Shama Evahi Kevalam, simply a waste of time. And then conversely, one who has achieved that stage of perfection, suppose that they don't know all these other activities so well and so nicely. What about them? Perfection. Because those other things follow behind bhakti. It's nice. It's important for us to have conviction and faith and focus. So doing the do's and avoiding the don'ts, that's nice. But more than nice is, what's the purpose behind the do's and the do nots? What's the purpose behind the Vedas? What's behind the purpose of knowledge? Behind the purpose of anything beneficial? What's the goal, the purpose? And the Bhagavatam, obviously, just like in this one verse in purport, over and over and over, to attain that stage of unmixed devotion. Because in that stage of unmixed devotion, that's our constitutional position. So that's the end of his prayers. The next section I wanted to show you is photographs of different deities of Lord Nrsingadev. Now, you may have, because Nrsinga Chaturdasi was yesterday, you may have come across some of these on your own. Here's a deity in Karnataka, Chintamani Narasingha. And here's a little text that says something about the deity. Very ancient temple, 12th century. Legend is that it was built by one of the Hoysala kings for this district. The deity was self-manifested. Locals believe this deity has a special power to remove mental illnesses. So if you know somebody that has a mental illness, that's a deity perhaps you can encourage them to visit. Local devotees believe that Prahlada actually worshipped this form himself. Another deity in Karnataka, Lakshmi Narasingha. Originally, this temple is not really known, but the locals believe the Lord came there to protect the town and its residents. Now, in the bottom right corner, there's some description of where these photographs come from. There's a devotee, a young devotee named Dhruva. From his childhood, he had fascination of Lord Nrsingadev, and he grew up, became not just a young boy. Then he got a camera, and he went, this place, that place, and he scoured and did his research, and so he published a book. And the book is pictured. The details are in the lower right corner. We'll see the details if you're interested later. And he's a fanatic. He's very knowledgeable, and he's very happy. He's not a fanatic in the sense of like a mentally disturbed person. He's quite intelligent and quite, functional, but, intensely devoted to Lord Nrsingadev. This is Ugra Nrsinga, as he's ripping apart Hiranyakashipu. It is believed that this town was once known as Arjunapuri, named after Arjuna. Arjuna requested, now this is, so much can be fable, that's whatever it is said, or some people believe. Arjuna requested Krishna to show his Nrsinga incarnation. Krishna replied, it was not possible to show that fierce form. Instead, Arjuna could have darshan of the form of a deity. Therefore, on the request of Krishna, Lord Brahma had a deity of the Ugra Nrsinga carved and gave the deity to Arjuna. That's the name of the town. Ferocious looking and of huge size. The whole village comes to worship this deity, whether Hindu or not Hindu. The local priests cover the part of the deity where the demon's stomach is torn. Local legend has it that one will go mad if they were to see such a thing. Now the pujari has to see such a thing, so let's see if he becomes mad. Yoga Nrsinga in Karnataka. This form is said to be the deity of a past royal family who built the temple for him. Looks like Garuda and down below. Yoga Nrsimha, another one. Lakshmi Nrsimha, Swami in Karnataka. Happy Narasimha. The temple was constructed by a great devotee 800 years ago. Not so long ago. Yoga Nrsimha, again in Karnataka. Located on a mountain, this temple has been visited by countless saints throughout its 800 years history. Ramanujacharya is said to have stayed here for some time, visited by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yoga Nrsimha. Chintamani Nrsimha. Very large deity. That's all that he comments about this deity. And another Yoga Nrsimha, it's in that certain posture. This form was made almost 500 years ago and was the main lord of the village. Ugra Nrsimha, another one, Ugra Nrsimha, again Karnataka. The locals call him Happy Nrsimha. 800 years old temple. So not so long, 800 years. Many of you recognize this deity. I don't even need to tell you where, because you probably all have been there. New Vrindavan. And of course, this is Harshida Mayapur. There's a Nrsimha deity in another temple in the Bavarian forest in Germany. And he's a very happy deity too. And this has several photographs of him at different times, some a little bit further away, some a little bit closer. Here's a real good close-up of this deity. Now, these photos are all taken. Here's the book. Dhruva was the author or the photographer, and The Lost Temples is the title of the book. So there's the little bit of the information. Thompson Press. So now we're ready for the final two verses for this morning. And it's actually the final 5 verses, but we're just going to do the first of the 2. Lord Nrsimhadev offers benedictions. Prahlada has offered his prayers, and he's going to begin offering benedictions. So here's the first benediction. The great Saint Narada said, so this is Narada narrating all of this to whom? Yudhisthira. On the occasion of Rajasuya Yagya, the whole canto. Thus, Lord Nrsimhadev was pacified by the devotee Prahlad Maharaj with prayers offered from the transcendental platform. The Lord gave up his anger. No, he gave up his anger before the end of his prayers. And being very kind to Prahlad, who was offering prostrated obeisances, he spoke as follows. So it's a short purport in the Bhagavatam. The word nirguna is important. The Mayavadi philosophers accept the absolute truth as nirguna or nirakara. The word nirguna refers to one who possesses no material qualities, guna and nirguna. The Lord, being full of spiritual qualities, gave up his anger and spoke to Prahlad. So the anger of the Supreme Lord was a spiritual quality. And he changed it out. He gave up the anger desire and accepted this benediction-giving desire. Because all those features are within the personality of Godhead. There's a very nice understanding, many nice understandings. One of those nice understandings is the personality of Godhead has his eternal abode in the spiritual world. And in that eternal abode in the spiritual world, some of his pastimes are not manifest, and some of his pastimes are eternally manifest. This is Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He uses these two terms. You may have heard them before: Nitya Lila and Naimitika Lila. Nitya is eternal. Naimitika can be translated as occasional. So the earthly pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are occasional. And there's some pastimes that are eternal. And the eternal pastimes are eternally manifested in the spiritual world. And when the Lord manifests his abode, both the occasional and the eternal pastimes are manifest, and then both become unmanifest. Prakat, or manifest, becomes unmanifest, or aprakat. So in other words, specifically, when Krishna disappeared, we'll speak something about Nrsingadev as well. When Krishna disappeared, his manifest pastimes, or Naimitika Lila and Naimitika form, were withdrawn. But both his form and his pastimes were just simply withdrawn from human vision, and they entered into his eternal abode in this realm, and people couldn't see them because he withdrew their manifest state. Should I say it again? I think I should say it again. And it's true for Dwarka and true for Vrindavan. For his abodes in this world. The abode in this world is as spiritual as he is. And they're eternally spiritual. But the past, like Vrindavan or Dwarka. Now, Dwarka was manifest in the sea. And at a certain time, Dwarka disappeared back into the sea. But didn't just disappear back into the sea. And sometimes, somewhere under the sea, you just do some scuba diving and you find Dwarka. Not like that. It was unmanifest. It receded as if it had became underwater, but it became unmanifest. But the description is very, very clear. When Krishna's pastimes ended, he had different associates. Some of those associates were devas, because he had, personality of Godhead, had requested the devas to assist him in his pastimes and to take birth on earth, to assist him in his pastimes. So some took birth on earth, and when Krishna was finished with his pastimes, they returned to the heavenly realm. Because it was an angsa, or a part of those devas, that took part in Krishna's pastimes. So when that pastime was over, that angsa returned to the heavenly kingdom, and they resumed their activities as demigods, or within the forms of the demigods in the demigod realm. 2, some were descended from the spiritual world, and those went back to the spiritual world. And there's the third, and some are eternal associates, and they withdrew their manifest forms and entered into an aprakat position in Dwarka, in Vrindavan, etc., where they're eternally situated, but not manifest, or aprakat, prakat, and aprakat, not manifest. So that's Krishna, detailed description. And then there's Nrsingadev. So Nrsingadev, similarly, I'm putting my hand in the air, he has an abode in Vaikuntha. And you can read about it. One of the places you can read about it is Brihat Bhagavatamrita. Brihat Bhagavatamrita, we mentioned this a few times. It's a book by Sanatana Goswami that's a commentary on the Bhagavatam. And in that commentary, Gopakumar goes to Vaikuntha and he sees forms of Nrsingadev and the worshippers of Nrsingadev. So Nrsingadev, has his abode in Vaikuntha. And he has his associates in the abode of Vaikuntha. And then when he appears in this world, it's not like he hangs a sign out that says, I'm going to take a visit to the earthly realm. See you guys later. I'll be back in a while. Not like that. He expands himself and appears as Nrsingadev and then withdraws himself into his eternal position. So, and then there's associates like Prahlada. At least in the next next chapter, chapter 10, he speaks to Nrsingadev that you sent me here. So from where was he sent? In the purport, you can read it on your own. 7.10.3. 7.10.3. Prabhupada expresses very clearly that Prahlada Maharaj is a Nitya Siddha devotee. So now you know. He's eternally perfect. He didn't become, he's eternally perfect. But he's manifesting a pastime where as if he became perfect, but he's eternally perfect. At least that Prahlada that's mentioned in the chapter 10. And we had this discussion about other days of Brahma and other manifestations of Prahlada. So this verse is indicating, go back to the Nirguna. Yeah, it's in the second line. Bhaktya, Bhaktena, Nirguna. So the position of Prahlada was from the Nirguna platform. Prahlada is from the Nirguna platform. The Lord Nrsingadev is from the Nirguna platform. The prayers were Nirguna. So we're getting pure devotional service in sound vibration form from a pure devotee. And he can give that sound vibration because he's in that place. And the Lord is very much pleased. And so the secondary rasa of anger was withdrawn, and the blessing mood is replacing that mood. In this purport, there's two words, nirguna and nirakar. What does nirakar mean? Who knows what nirakar means? No form, no material form. Now, if you're an impersonalist, you'll say, no, it's nirakar. And the Vaishnava will say, no, it's nirakar. No material form. And they don't agree. That's okay. That those that say has no form, they'll never understand Bhagavan. They'll never understand love. But one who is becoming a devotee or is cultivating devotion or is what to speak of has attained devotion, they know very clearly what nirguna and nirakar mean. No material form. So that nirguna Prahlada is offering nirguna prayers to the nirguna Supreme who has no material form. But he has form, the transcendental form. transcendental form that dealt with Prahlada, dealt with Hiranyakashipu. And here's the last verse for today. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Prahlad, most gentle one, best of the family of Asuras, all good fortune unto you. I am very much pleased with you. It is my pastime to fulfill the desires of all living beings, and therefore you don't have to, you may ask from me any benediction that you desire to be fulfilled." Blank check. Prabhupada's phrase. You fill in the amount. It's a donation. You just fill in the amount, whatever you want to fill in. And you got a big bank account, so put whatever number you want in there. Blank check. I'll read the purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Bhaktavatsala, the Supreme Personality who is very much affectionate to his devotees. It is not very extraordinary that the Lord offered his devotee all benedictions, plural. The Personality of Godhead said in effect, quote, "I fulfill the desires of everyone. Since you're my devotee, whatever you want for yourself will naturally be given. But if you pray for anyone else, that prayer will also be fulfilled." He offered such a prayer. So devotees don't want for self, they want for everyone. And the best way to want for everyone is that the Lord may be happy. It's like, pouring water on the root of the tree and the whole tree gets water. Thus, if we approach the Supreme Lord or his devotee, or if we are blessed by a devotee, then naturally we will automatically achieve the benedictions of the Supreme Lord. Yasya prasadad bhagavat prasada. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that if one pleases the Vaishnava spiritual master, all of one's desires will be fulfilled. But then all of one's desires become spiritual desires. And all of one's desires that were not spiritual desires evaporate, just like when you turn on the light, darkness is dispelled. We had this discussion, twice we had this discussion, what to do about the karma of living entities. Turn on the light. It's gone. Darkness is gone. What about the law of karma? The law of karma applies to those that are entangled in material complexities. Supposing you're no longer entangled in material complexities because of exclusive devotion to the Supreme. There's no more entanglement. It's gone. Where does it go? Where does darkness go when you turn on the light? Darkness means the absence of light. So when you turn on the light, darkness is gone. So karma, or the bondage of fruitive work, is gone when there's bhakti. It's a mystery in one sense, but it's very simple in the other sense. So that's midday session. I want to cover a couple more points. Just show you some nice photographs. This is a nice photograph. This is Lord Nrsingadev hand feeding Prahlad sitting on his lap, and there's the goddess of fortune standing behind him. It's a nice painting. There's one of the disciples of Madhvacharya, Anandatirtha, pictured here. So of course there's Madhvacharya with his two fingers in the air. That's, when you see that's mean Madhvacharya. But a follower of his, he offers a prayer to Lord Nrsingadev, because one of the temples in Udupi is a temple to Nrsingadev. There's 9 temples, and Udupi Krishna is in the center. So here's his prayer. Lover of Lakshmi, In every place possible, I searched, but I could not find any master equal to you. Like an eighth taste, we'll hear some more about what's that eighth taste. A thing greater than you is ever in exile. Brahma, Shiva, Shakra, and are collectively incinerated by the searing sun like sparks of the fire rising from the corner of your glaring, rage filled eyes. Poetic. And the commentary is that there are six tastes mentioned in Nectar Devotion. There's no such thing as seventh or eighth. But he's speaking of it because he certainly knows there's six, there's not eight. But you're undiscoverable. You're so transcendental. Like an eighth taste. Things greater than you are ever in exile. They don't exist. There's different Puranas. One of those Puranas is Vamana Purana. This is referred to in Brihat Bhagavatamrita. And it's not detailed presentation, but reference is made that Prahlad visited Naimisharanya. Prahlad visited Naimisharanya to visit Narayana, of the Narayan Rishi, but Prahlad visited that place. It's detailed. And here's another Brihat Bhagavatamrita reference, and this is our last little slide. There's a series of prayers or stotras of glorifying the 1,000 names of Vishnu. And here's one. Lord Nrsimha made several different appearances. One Nrsimha defeated all the celestial mothers. What? Celestial mothers? Doesn't make any explanation. It just makes the reference from the Brihat Sahasranam Stotra. Another ripped apart Hiranyakashipu that we're familiar with. Yet another assumed the form of an ordinary cat. No explanation. So don't ask me about that one. But it's in Brihat Bhagavatamrita, referencing the Sahasranama Stotras. Okay. So we have just 3 more verses to go. That's tomorrow evening. And we'll have finished the chapter. And then if you want, you can go back and read it again or go on to chapter 10 or get ready for the next festival with the next appearance day. Any comments or questions? Yes.
All right. Thank you for the nice presentation of pictures that are always interesting and giving you so much. But these are all secrets. Like we just saw one picture in which Lord Nrsimhadev feeding Prahlad.
Like a mother.
Yeah, like a mother, right? Now, we know Lord Nrsimha came to earth and saved Prahlada. Is there a reference or is there a pastime of Nrsimha, like how much time Nrsimha was here, other pastimes that Nrsimha had, that we might see some details of those?
I've been trying to do that. These other references, but not the same kind of detail. No, Vishnu Purana has, other Puranas have slightly varied narrations. And I would recommend, you saw the slides, you can go back and hear the recordings, and you can do the research on your own, rather than I'm a walking encyclopedia. You can do the research on your own and find out Like this devotee Dhruva went on researching, and because he wanted to take photographs and publish a book on Lord Nrsingadev. So and there's no end. My experience is it's like an ocean that doesn't have a bottom, and you can go and you can go and you just keep going and going and going. Here's an example. there's a reference that was mentioned in the different appearances of Srimad Bhagavatam. There's one reference where it doesn't give the scriptural reference, but it says that Uddhava received Srimad Bhagavatam directly from Krishna. So where's that from? So one devotee went diving in the ocean of the Vedas, and he came up with the reference from Padma Purana. And he found the Sanskrit. He's going to have the Sanskrit translated and send it to me. But it's just like, if one has an interest, not just out of curiosity, but more than just curiosity, you want to know another piece of information from my computer or my encyclopedia. But I want to understand the fullness of the diversity of the personality of Godhead. You just go and go and go and go. A fantastic example of this, there's two fantastic examples. One is Rupa Goswami, the other is Jiva Goswami. They took a subject like Rupa Goswami and the categories of avatars. And gosh, the scriptural references that he makes and connects this with that, and therefore sometimes this is said, but that can't be because he did his homework, and then wrote the book, and then wrote the commentary for his book, and then Jiva Goswami wrote a commentary on his commentary for the book. So it takes scholarship, but what's the purpose behind scholarship if it's not to awaken love? So information for information's sake is kind of useless. But appreciating the scope and the diversity of the source of everything, it's astounding. And he must have unlimited potencies, otherwise he's not supreme. So he has unlimited potencies. With his unlimited potencies, he can do inconceivable and unlimited things. Like becoming a cat. Yes, behind you.
Thank you, Maharaj, for the wonderful lectures. Kunti, so this is regarding the Kunti. So for the unmixed, when you have unmixed devotion, and that when you have that 6 rendering services that is mentioned in that verse, so then you attain the perfection, that is the Paramahamsas.
Then you attain what?
I mean
Say it slowly. Then you attain what? Your voice went fast.
Oh, okay, sorry. So when you do the 6 rendering services,
Okay.
kind of.
Got it.
Right.
Then?
That is the perfection for the Paramahamsa stage.
It's the stage of Paramahamsa, yes.
Yes. So my question is, does Kunti also have the Paramahamsa stage?
Why not?
Right?
Why not? She's speaking as if she doesn't, but that's not your question. Your question is, does she have it or not?
Yes. Or
yeah, she
how
has it.
we can, how we can go to that stage? I mean, it is
That's
hard.
another question. You serve those who are Paramahamsas. Mahatsevam dwara mahorvi muktes. Remember? Yeah? 552. Bhagavatam.
Maharaj, and one more thing. the picture that you showed, Madhavacharya, he raised two fingers.
Yeah.
So is that the duality, the
No,
philosophy?
it's
dualism?
his that each of the principal acharyas have a doctrine, and Madhvacharya's was Dvaitavad.
Dvaita.
There are two. It was direct, head-on collision, confrontation with Shankaracharya that said only one. Purposefully and repeatedly, two. Then it goes further. The further is there are 5 kinds of Dvaita, 5 kinds of differences. The supreme and the living, the jiva. That's one. Between the jiva and prakriti. Between prakriti and prakriti. Between prakriti and Bhagavan. So he goes through in detail, then like lengthy explanations with scriptural references, concluding Dvaita. If you want to understand the Vedas, you have to look through that lens. That's his position. Dvaitavad.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, it's been told that Lord Narasimhadev appeared in a place called Ahobilam in Andhra Pradesh or something.
Yeah.
So, do you have any pictures like that, or is it true?
I did it the other day for the Shringa Chatur. No, for Akshaya Tritiya. I described and showed a picture of the deity, and there's the pastime, and what's the history of the pastime. So, you want me to do it now, or I would recommend you go back to that recording, and there's a picture of the deity that's that big, because there's a picture of someone with a little cup performing abhishek on the one day of the year that all the chandan is removed, and then they put 120 kilos, and then another 3 times of the year, 420 kilos, but the deity is like that big. So, Ahobilam.
Yes,
And then the
Maharaj.
history of how that happened. And there are those who in Ahobilam, they say that place where Lord Nrsingadev men tried to push Krishna off the cliff was in Ahobilam. That's what they say. Now, what is that what you're looking for?
Yes, Maharaj, because you have shown the nice different forms of Narasimhadev. It looks like it's.
Want me to show you that image?
Yes, Maharaj.
It'll take a couple minutes.
No problem.
No problem. We'll
Yeah,
do it.
the reason I'm asking because the photographer took a nice picture, but it
Oh.
looks like you only focus on one part of the state, because Andhra Pradesh is also a lot of Narasimha temples are there. I'm just trying to connect.
And those temples that I don't recall. It was some long time ago that I selected those photos from his book. I had them scanned, and the little bio. His is longer at each place, but Ahobilam is historically much older. These are historically more current, at least the ones that I picked.
Is Ahobilam as a Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya temple, or?
I can't remember. Does anybody here know the answer to that question? In Ahobilam is the deity worshipped by Sri Vaishnavas? I don't recall. But you can do a little homework.
Sure, yeah. Now, even though I'm from Andhra Pradesh, but I haven't explored a lot, but I think maybe that
Okay.
is something I should
You
do.
have a homework assignment,
Yes, Maharaj.
and you can report it to all of us, myself included. I probably have it somewhere, but it's not in my memory bank.
Yeah, now I think I'm getting taste of it, so I should focus more
Yeah.
and explore.
Yeah. So when we're all done with this discussion, I'll go to where that slide is that shows the deity in the Hovelam, covered in sandalwood and then not covered in sandalwood, and then up close where he's this big. You'll see. And he's half Nrsingadev and half Viraha. And there's a whole story between why half and half. Okay. But it's easy, it's readily available. It just my memory is not perfect. That's for sure. Anyone else? Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I want to make one comment and maybe a follow-up question. So one comment was that your slideshow yesterday in the temple was very, very good. It was amazing. And I had one of my friends who doesn't visit often come yesterday for Narasimha Chaturdasi. And after the lecture, he came to me and said, this is the best presentation he has seen on Narasimha Dev. And he hadn't known the connection between Jai Vijay and Four Kumaras and Narasimha Dev and Kamsa and all the whole cycle of the three births and death of Jai Vijay. So he was very appreciative, and I just want to extend his thanks to you.
Tell him to come tonight.
Yeah, definitely.
Tonight is going to be completely different. There's no repeat of from tonight from yesterday night.
And the one question or one observation I had from all this pastime of Narasimhadev is that Narasimhadev can switch between his most ugra form,
Yes.
and in the flip second he can switch to his
Yeah,
most
no problem.
pleasing form for Prahlada.
No problem.
And I was thinking, is it something that we should maybe consider when we practice sadhana, that we should be more attentive to kind of attract that pleasing form of Narasimhadev rather than being inattentive and offensive,
Well, that's
even
a nice,
mentally?
That's a nice application point. I mean, it's not necessarily that's the application point that we should have as our takeaway, but it's certainly a fantastic application point. And then I would say by being more attentive, then the variations of the mood of the person who we're trying to serve will become more, will be more tuned into, because the Supreme Lord is dynamic, not static. So our relationship will also become dynamic, not static. You know, we're just trying to be sadhakas. Trying. And then there's the stage beyond just trying. When you actually are fixed in sadhana, then it's et cetera, the stages of bhakti. And then it's, you know, anandam buddhivardhanam, pratipadam purnam rasat svadanam, param vijayate. Okay. Yes, our hostess. In the spiritual world, there are different which?
Different dhams, like for
Dhams, yes.
for Ramchandra or eternally
Ayodhya.
in Saket Dham, Ayodhya. Then Krishna resides in Goloka. There are so many Vaikunthas. So is there any specific dham for Lord Narasimhadev?
Of course. He has his own dham. It's verification of what I just said is found in this chapter. In the beginning parts of this chapter, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva profuse streams of prayers, and didn't have any dent on his anger. They then approached Lakshmi. She was afraid, and then the commentary is she had forgotten that feature of anger was so intense. She forgot. She in different days of Lord Brahma, she had his association in the spiritual world. He has that form in the spiritual world, and she forgot. So he has that form in the spiritual world.
What is that called, Maharaj?
What's that form? Same form, half man, half
No,
lion.
that dham, is there any name for that dham?
It's the Shringaloka, I guess. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, one more. In fact, the last one. No,
Hare
second to
Krishna
last one.
Maharaj,
There's
very
one
wonderful
behind you
class.
too. Go ahead. Go ahead. Keep going.
Maharaj, during the time of Bali Maharaj, when Lord Bamandev came, and during the time he said, you go and live with your grandfather, which is Prahlad Maharaj.
Yeah.
I believe Prahlad Maharaj living the lower planetary system near to Garbhodaka Ocean.
Take a little further from your mouth because it's
Prahlad Maharaj
no, a
living.
little further from your mouth. Your voice
Prahlad,
is too intense.
got it. Prahlad Maharaj living near the Garbhodaka Ocean. That's a Patal Lok. So my question is, Maharaj, if Lord Narasimha wants, he could go and live with Narasimha Dham.
He can go anywhere, no problem. He's not restricted. He can go anywhere. Then he can be in multiple places at the same time. No problem. Okay.
That place is also like the place Prahlad Maharaj living right now. Is it also an eternal place?
Is the place where Prahlad Maharaj is right now an eternal place? That's your question?
Yes.
Well, he's with Lord Nrsingadev. He's his eternal associate. Does that answer your question?
Lord Narasimha lives in Vaikuntha
Lord
planet.
Nrsingadev is eternally existing. Prahlad is his eternal associate. Wherever he is, he's where Prahlad is, where Lord Nrsingadev is.
Okay, Maharaj.
Okay?
Thank you.
And he has an eternal abode, right? Behind you.
Pranam Maharaj, thank you. I came a little bit late, so I did not hear Kunti Maharani's six stages of bhakti. But in Bhagavatam, there is a mention of Nauda Bhakti, and my question is about bhakti and attaining the perfection of life. You mentioned in your session that even slightest bhakti will give you the benediction of perfection of the life. So I'm Bhav Bhakt. Vamshi Prabhu calls me Bhav Bhakt. I go by that feeling. Is that by itself enough? Or
Is that by what?
Is that by itself enough to attain the perfection of the life? Or
By service? Do it one more time. Fourth time.
My question is Bhav Bhakti by
Bhava
itself?
Bhakti.
Bhav Bhakti or
Yeah.
Bhav,
Bhava Bhakti.
yeah. Is that itself enough to attain the perfection?
Well,
Or
is a flower sufficient or the fruit that comes after the flower sufficient? That's what you're asking.
correct? Or do I need to do more to get that fruit?
When you're at the stage of Bhava Bhakti, the flower becomes the fruit. No problem. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
You're asking a technical question, and the acharyas describe from the bhava stage, prema stage follows, like the fruit that's on a tree follows behind the flower that's on the tree. The flower comes first, and then comes the fruit.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Bhava comes first, and then comes prema, and it's just sequential. It's just completely natural, and quickly, in fact, from the flower to the fruit. I recommend in topics like this, bring it down to how can I do my sadhana with absorption, more absorption than the past month or week or yesterday, or even today, with more absorption. That's where our attention should go. The contemplating those higher stages, it's a little premature. No harm to know because our acharyas present them, to know where the train is going when you get on the train. But, be attentive to where you are presently and try to improve that. And those other stages or higher stages will come in natural sequence. Okay, so I'm going to go offline for a second and find the Ahovalam deity, and then we're done. Okay. Let's do this. So you don't see where I'm going. Here we go. Okay, so there's the deity, but it's Varaha Lakshmi Nrsingaswamy covered in Chandan 4 times a year, 120 kilos each time they apply. And on this particular day, the Akshaya Tritiya day, they remove all the Chandan. And when they remove all the Chandan, there's the deity. He has the face of Varaha, the body of Nrsingadev, with claws and the tail of a lion. Now, you can't really tell how big he is from this photograph. This is what they call Nijarupa Darshan. This is actual form. And this is the place, Simachalam. And there's the deity close up. And here's how big he is. Now, this is what you're referring to, yes or no?
This one is a different place.
It's a different place.
Ahovalam is one place. This is another temple.
Okay, okay. Then I don't have those pictures. Ahovalam.
This is also
Okay, okay. Ahovalam is different. Okay. Okay. But you've still got your homework.
and it's good to see this.
Huh?
Good to see this deity as well from Simhachalam. I think it's good to know about Varaha and Narsimha.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, go ahead.